Am I the asshole? For telling my wife to stop hovering over our living son BC of our deceased one? I 39M have been married to my wife 39 for 13 years. We had 2 children together, Sean who would have been 19 and Marcus who is 14. Almost 3 years ago, we allowed Sean to go on a camping trip with some friends. During this, he was injured pretty badly by jumping into water that was not meant to be messed around in. We lost him after a few days. My wife and I blamed ourselves. But specifically my wife, since this Marcus has been in arm's reach of my wife 24/7. He rarely goes out with friends. He's rarely unsupervised, which is just not good for a 14-year-old boy. Marcus finally argued back, said he really wanted to go out fishing with his friends and friend's dad and didn't see a reason why he couldn't go. My wife shut it down immediately. Said absolutely not. And that if he wanted to go out he'd have to wait a day one of us were off work. After Marcus left the room I spoke to my wife and told her maybe it wasn't such a bad idea him going since his friend's dad would be there. She said no, he just couldn't, and not to undermine her, I told her she needed to start letting Marcus have a life. And she needed to stop hovering over him just because she lost Sean. My wife completely blew up on me, crying, saying she could be as overprotective as she wanted. She was his mother, and I had no right to say that because I am as aware as her that the world is too dangerous. She then told me not even to mention this idea to Markham BC. It was a big solid no. She's since seen to be avoiding me and just hiding away in her office. AITA? Not the asshole. I am so sorry for your loss. You are right. Marcus is not an appropriate or healthy outlet for her grief. He needs to be allowed to live his life. Marcus is grieving his brother too. And he doesn't need to have that compounded with the loss of the freedoms of his teenage experience. And of course you and your wife will always worry about him. But like you said, this was a supervised trip. He would have been safe. It sounds like your wife would really benefit from therapy and or some kind of grief support group. As you know, you're never the same after a loss like that. But life can get better. Not the asshole. If she doesn't let him live his life, she will end up losing both sons anyway, as this one won't want to be around her as soon as he is an adult. Has she spoken to anyone about her grief? There are plenty of support groups that don't necessarily cost money. There are sadly a lot of people who have lost a child who share your experience. Marcus has to have his life too. He should not be punished because his brother did a foolish thing. And it cost him his life. The world is dangerous, but it's the only world we have. And he has to live in it. Sheltering him now will only make it more dangerous for him later. Marcus is going to end up hating and resenting you both. He'll turn 18 and never look back. Get her help. Not the asshole. Your wife needs help. She's going to fuck your kid up if this isn't corrected. She might be his mother, but you are his father. Honestly, I'd tell him he could go and not to worry about any consequences from his mother. I'd be putting my foot down on this nonsense. Not the asshole. First and foremost, my condolences on your loss. Losing a son is life-changing, and I can't imagine how hard it has been for you all. But this is outside of our scope. You all need professional guidance for this, especially your wife. Your wife confining in fear will create more stress and resentment with your other son. He too is inherently deserving to live his life. Not the asshole. Your wife needs help. Marcus is a teenage boy. While it's understandable that she fears what could happen, she can't keep him in the house with no friends. He needs them if he is to be a well-adjusted adult. It's understandable that you wouldn't let him go swim with sharks or something like that. But he does need to be able to live his life. This is an age where he should be gaining independence. Not the asshole. She will most likely end up pushing him away or into more risky behaviors trying to get away from her. Not the asshole. Your wife needs grief therapy. If she doesn't get help and stop with obsessing over your son, she is going to cause major damage. What happens when your son wants to date? Get a job? Go to college? Will your wife insist on coming along every time or not let him leave her at all? She is literally imprisoning your son because she's refusing to let him have any freedom. At this rate, she will lose him because as soon as he's old enough he'll leave and cut contact. And he'll blame you too for not doing more to help him. So help him now. Your wife needs therapy. Your son needs her to be his mother without her stalking and controlling his every move. Not the asshole, but you will be the if you back down on this. I'm surprised he hasn't fought back already or been sneaking out. He will, so you have to keep a good relationship with him so he tells you where he is going or it will be dangerous. Not the asshole. Her behavior is understandable, but it needs to stop. Not the asshole, but I do think you could have handled this a bit more gently. Your wife is suffering due to the extremely traumatic loss of her child. I don't think telling her to stop hovering just because she lost Sean was a productive or gentle way to go about this. But yes, your wife does need some serious help to cope with and move on from your devastating loss. Her behavior isn't healthy and is harming your other child. But please have the entire family in therapy. Your wife has valid trauma and needs support. You have as well. So has your son. I wish you healing. Not the asshole. You are an equal parent and deserve just as much a say. Your wife was totally wrong to say that to you. Letting him go fishing friends' parents present seems like exactly the kind of safe, supervised actively everyone should be able to agree on. And your wife absolutely needs to loosen up so he can start learning how to be a responsible adult. If he's overly sheltered now, he'll likely be totally out of control in college. He just needs to learn life skills at this point. This whole situation is really sad. And I don't think either of you should be blaming yourself for what happened to Sean. Not the asshole. She's going to overprotect him right into either risky behavior and going no contact once grown, or into making him an emotional cripple who lives as a recluse and can't do for himself. Neither outcome is good. Stand your ground, Dad. Not the asshole. I feel like if possible, you offering to go on the trip as well would put her mind at ease. But what you said was for your son. You were just simply advocating for him to have a normal life. She's going to push the only child she has left away when that kid turns 18 and he is not gonna look back. He's going to resent her and he's gonna possibly go no contact with you because he is going to feel like nobody had his back. So I would put my foot down for her to get some help, and if she refuses, I would take that kid and get the hell out of there, please. She's not in a healthy place. Not the asshole. I am sorry for your loss. Your wife should work on herself. Maybe with a therapist. To grieve without taking away opportunities from Marcus. He should be able to live his life and do fun activities. He could end up resenting his mom and feeling bad for something he has no control over. Not the asshole. It is very possible if this goes unchecked she will lose Marcus anyway. Not because of an accident, but because he will move out ASAP and cut contact with her. She needs help. Her grief and trauma are manifesting as extreme overprotection. This isn't healthy for anyone. Not the asshole. Your wife's grief has taken over her life. Don't let it take over Marcus's as well. She needs grief counseling. The world is too dangerous. Your wife needs therapy. Immediately. It doesn't matter if you're the about this particular event. Get that poor woman some therapy before her issues completely destroy your son and your family.